Testing, testing. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let us all give a lukewarm welcome to the world's most okayest piano player in the world, Mika.
Hello everyone, thank you all so much for being here tonight. I'd like to thank Jake for that introduction. It's pretty okay. Thank you. Jake himself, ladies and gentlemen, is a wonderful performer of his own kind. He is a musician who runs a band called Stores, and he's getting red currently, and that is good. And you should all definitely check him out. The band is named Stores with a period. Wow. My throat is drier than my jokes tonight. Okay. How are y'all doing tonight? First of all, I should ask. I'd like to begin this evening's performance with a song about music. Because music has a huge part of my life, obviously. And I've come to realize that music is a lot like a kid, a young kid. And if you want to be a good musician, then you have to treat it like it's your own child. Now, I'm not a parent. I paid attention in health class, but I do have a cat, and that's basically the same thing, isn't it? You know, yeah, my parents know, they're right here. But, and whether it's kids or cats or music, you have to, love is not enough. I hate to break it to the Beatles fans, but love is not all you need. Because you need to nurture it. You have to feed it. And whether it's kids or cats or music, it takes work. And that sucks sometimes. Because there are some nights that you don't want to. You don't want to nurture the kid. You don't want to feed the cat. You don't want to play Brahms lullabies. But sometimes you even want to quit. Because it's just so frustrating. Whatever you do, you try and you fail. And you want to throw in the towel. You say, that's it, I quit. And with music, that's fine. With kids, not so much. But if you really want to see it to fruition, if you want to see all of your efforts come together in a beautiful culmination, then you have to work for it. So this first song is about how I didn't do that. I started to play piano at the age of 5, but I didn't practice, so I sucked. I turned 6, wouldn't quit. Still I wouldn't practice, but I stuck with it. 7, the pressure's building. I'm practicing or I'm quitting. So faced with these ultimatums, I procrastinate until I turn 8. I start to practice, see the function, record track. Record it on my keyboard, then I play it back. So I hit play, meanwhile I play, until my mom starts to catch on that each time sounds the same. Hi, Mom. Now we get to 10, then comes 11, then comes 12, and then 13, and now stop at 14. I'm about to go to high school, and it's quite a different scene. I learn very simple mathematics, geometry's transitive property. I like girls, and they like the piano. If I play, maybe then they'll like me. Now go to 15, followed by 16. I'm still single, but my fingers move like a machine. And how quickly mathematics was replaced with practicing. I've been tickling the ivories for some time now, and I've got to say I love it. And I will not stop saying tickling the ivories. I think it's the best way to describe piano playing. But there are certain disadvantages to just being able to play piano. And for example, and this is a small technicality, but in order to play piano, there has to be one around. And I'm not going to be lugging around a 300, 400-pound behemoth on the next camping trip. Not again. story for another day. But I started diversifying a few years ago. So I went on to the next instrument that everybody knows and loves, the tuba. But the problem with the tuba is that, as hard as you may try, you can't sing and play at the same time, and trust me, I tried. So I had to settle for the guitar. But actually, guitar has been a dream of mine since I was a little kid. And I've always loved the instrument. I've always been completely enamored by it and anybody who can play it. But finally, a couple of years ago, about 2 I'd say, I finally decided that I was going to start because I owed it to myself, my 3-year-old self that always wanted to learn. And so I picked up the guitar, I got out the practice book, I laid it in front of me, and I was so excited because have you ever played like a power chord? I haven't, but I've seen people do it and it looks cool. And so I was so excited that I practiced that day for over an hour. And are there any guitarists out here? Okay, so all of you sadists know how much that hurts. And so I did the thing that any reasonable person would do, and I quit. But after a while, I started to feel guilty. I started to feel bad because I hadn't completed one of my dreams. And I figured, you know, I owe it to myself. I owe it to the 3-year-old Alex that always wanted to play. And I can't just quit after the first time. So I quit the second time. And I took it up 5 more times after that. As the saying goes, 7th time's the charm, right? But I learned that I have certain inhibitions keeping me from becoming the next Jimi Hendrix. And so what do you do when you're a sad musician? You write a song about it instead of paying someone to talk to. So I wrote this little ditty about the death of my dream. Now before you all go, this is, I promise, the only song that I'll be playing on the guitar tonight. When you learn to play guitar, you will simply not get far if you do not satisfy a few demands. You will have to be persistent, you will have to be insistent, and be born with longer fingers on your hands. This genetic cruelty left me modeling women's jewelry instead of serenading mademoiselles. With my tiny mono, I just get by on piano, and a bar chord is my version of a hell. An F chord, F that fingers too fat. Simply give me any other key. They all have one, well then I'm gone. Guess it's just the ivories and me. Taught myself with online classes. All I got are these dumb calluses and a nice certificate you can print out. So frustrated that I'm liable to very soon be certifiable because my lifelong dream is now a doubt. So I can't play at the campfire, windows of my heart's desire. But again, who even does that nowadays? I just get a restraining order. No, I'm not an instrument hoarder, so it's time to end my crazy guitar phase. Woo! Scared to fall. Sometimes things just don't work out, you know, like guitar. And I've come to realize this more and more as I've grown, that no matter how your experience went, whether it was a success, a failure, the experience will almost always change you in some manner. Like, I've been driving for a few years now, and I remember ever since I got behind the wheel, I've been looking at the road a different way, like a driver. Even when I'm in the passenger seat, I'm still hitting that brake pedal. And I actually remember when I took driver's ed. I took it in the summer. And I'll never forget this experience. Actually, do you mind, I promise it won't smell, but I'm going to take my shoes off because that pedal is a little finicky. And the boots just aren't cutting it. But, well, I'm more down to earth now. And when I took driver's ed, I decided to take an 8-hour version of the course. And it was 2 Saturdays, 4 Saturdays each, 2 hours. Sorry, I'm bad at math. I'm an English major, for those of you that don't know. It was 2 Saturdays,
4 hours each. And I thought, it can't be that bad, right? 2 Saturdays, I've done my time, I'm free to go. It was condensed suffering. Suffering in a can. Suffering Diet Light, which is never good either. And I swear to you, this stuff is to teens like spinach is to little kids. It may be good for you, but you're going to hate it the whole way down. So I get there, the first Saturday. And the first 2 hours of that class were actually the parent session. So I'm there with my dad, and the first half hour was actually applicable things to parents, like driving laws, curfew, all of that. And the next hour and a half was this hypnotic blur of advertisements that they played for us. And after that, once the videos were out, they pulled up Jeopardy-style trivia. And there's this one father who's way too invested as this instructor goes into Alex Trebek mode. And he's looking at the questions, he's like, you don't fool us with those orange signs, do they, honey? And the daughter, the poor daughter, every time her father would speak, she'd go, like something inside of her died. She'd go, God, you're so embarrassing. And she knows that he's not going to relent. He's not going to let go until she starts answering the questions. So she starts. She's like, fine, is it? And he's like, honey. You got to use the right format. Let Daddy show you how it's done. So he goes up and he says, what are construction signs? That is correct. But after the 2 hours, my dad is free to go. I am not. And he looks at me with this pitying look as he's walking out the door. And I'll never forget that look. Because it was like, I feel bad for you, sucker. He opens the door and he goes to leave. And as he closes the door behind him, I feel this gust of wind blow into the room. And it smelled of freedom and tacos. What a terrible combination. And now, Miss Alex Trebek was actually one of 2 instructors there that day. And she's getting up to leave because the other instructor that was supposed to be there, she was a new person, and so she was nervous. And now, though, now that the parents are gone, the people that are paying for this program, they don't care about our education. So Miss Alex Trebek is leaving, and we're left in the capable hands of Sandra. Once she left, Sandra pulls out her security blanket, which is this giant binder, this huge binder that shook the ground when she dropped it on the table. And she opens it up to the first page. This is someone's economy textbook, by the way. And she starts to read. Instructor's Manual. Please proceed with the following guidelines in order to ensure a full Fatigue. Please, this is a classroom. No laughing. Fatigue is one of the leading causes of automobile accidents, resulting in over 14,600 fatalities a year. I'm sorry, what? Fatalitis? Is that a disease? My God, people. And every time she would read the word, she would read it fatalitis or fatalities. And do you know how many times people die in a driver's ed class? More than 14,600. And it was so bad. And on top of everything, she had that voice. It was like female Squidward. And every single time, once there would be like a piece of trivia like that, like 14,600, she would stop, and as though she expected us to know the answers. And it'd be like the scene from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where it'd be like, fatigue is caused by anyone, lack of sleep. Symptoms include, anyone, drowsiness, lack of focus, and double vision. At this point in the class, I was already experiencing all 3. It's a textbook case. And so finally, after an hour and a half, she gets to the end of the binder. And I knew this because she went and got to the end of the binder. It was about an hour and a half, right? And this one guy in the back of the class, he gets up and he's going to leave. And she says, I can't let you out. It's against company policy. I'm going to have to ask you all some questions. So that day, we were talking about fatigue and road rage. And to cover these important topics, she decides that we're going to go over road sign shapes. And so people are calling up random shapes like octagon, rectangle, and one girl goes triangle. And Sandra, as she's writing all these things up on the board, as soon as she hears triangle, it's as though it's her arch enemy's name, because she turns around. Excuse me. Triangle? Like an upside down triangle? And the girl goes, yeah, like an upside down triangle. And she's... Well, I don't know what that shape is called, so we're just going to call it an upside down triangle. Now, I'm an English major, but that doesn't make sense, right? And the next question was, you're at an intersection and you cut somebody off and you see that they're getting mad. What do you do? And this time, nobody's off the hook. She's going around the classroom and every single person has to answer. And so our class was a group, it was an all ages group. So there was people from all walks of life, all nationalities. It was as though Disney had cast our driver's ed class. And it was really interesting at this point because you got to hear the perspective of every single person, and they were all so vastly different that I wrote them all down. And the first person to go was TJ. Well, I'd be like, sorry, sir, and I'd try to explain. Next, Rashish. Well, I would apologize, but I would not compromise. You know, if it happens, it happens, but I would not compromise. Rashish, what are you talking about? Compromise? What do you mean? What compromise? What are you talking about? Next, Layla. Now, Layla had her own copy of the binder. And I don't know where she got it. Is there like a black market for binders in driver's ed classes? Who scored her? But so she gets out her this binder, and the weird thing about it, like, it's fine to have it if you like read along or something, but she was fervently taking notes the whole time, even though Sandra was reading it verbatim. So I don't know what she was writing. And so she goes, well, I wouldn't stop because it would be already escalating an already awkward situation. And as the binder says, alleviate, don't escalate. And Sandra is very impressed because, you know, she loves the binder. The next person was Isabel, and Isabel was nothing like Layla. You see, Isabel had taken driver's ed before, but she had to take it again because she wanted to get the steering wheel breathalyzer and tire lock out of her car. So Isabel very philosophically put, if this Barbara Streisand's giving me sugar about my driving, I swear to flunking gosh, I will turn her car into a coffin. And I loved that answer. Because there's so much to unpack. Like, she didn't say Barbara Streisand, she didn't say sugar, and no, she didn't say flunking. But deep down, what I loved about this was that Isabel was a good Christian soul, and here's why. She said flunking gosh and not flunking God. Touched my heart. Now Sandra is shocked. And she's like, the binder didn't prepare me for this, the binder didn't prepare me for this, how do I prevent any more fitilitis? Oh my God. Till finally, she turns to Layla's answer. And she says, well, Isabel, I don't think that's exactly the right answer that I was looking for, you see. As the binder says, alleviate, don't escalate. Whatever, you do you, girl. So Sandra realized that the case is hopeless, and she moves on. And next was Carlos, the exact opposite. He is, as you would say, a Beatles fan, because no matter what the question was, he would always say, just spread the love and keep going. It's a fitting answer. After that was Zhang. Now, Zhang didn't speak much English. And whenever Sandra got to his name in the attendance list, she always had to prep herself, you know? She had to give herself a little bit of a pep talk. Like, okay, you got this, girl. Sang. And he finally realizes that she's addressing him after like 3 or 4 times, and he goes, no, it's Zhang. Zhang. I'm sorry, can you say it again? Zhang. Oh, Sean, that's easy. What would you do, Sean? And Sean goes, I would call the police. And from the back of the room, Isabel goes, fuck the police! Now, Sandra's not having it. She's like, Isabel, that's enough out of you. I don't want any more of that language. You understand me? Watch it. Isabel goes, watch your back! All right, that's enough. Out of my class, now! And so Isabel left, with her flunking police escort just behind her. That same year, after that summer, was my junior year of high school. And I remember that Connecticut that year made a new rule that all of the high school kids have to take the SAT in their junior year as the standardized test. And I remember I got this 600-page thick practice book. And I open it up and I start doing practices. And I won't ever forget the first time I opened that book, because it was also the last time. And as I'm doing these practice problems, this mantra comes into my head out of nowhere, and I don't know where it came from, but it said, SAT, get away from me. SAT, get away from me. SAT, get away from me. And I can't get it out of my head. And I'm like, whoa, wait a second, that rhymes. I like rhymes. And so I closed the book, ran to the piano, this very piano in fact, and I wrote this little song. Some of you already know where this is from. If you know the words, feel free to sing along. It's time to put me to the test. I know I tried my best to escape, to hide, to run away. SAT, get away from me, and yet I can't escape you if I want a degree. SAT, why do you do this to me? You decide if my dreams are to be or not to be. I spent many hours frustrated, mentally constipated, studying for you. I won't beat around the bush, you made my mind to mush, and there's nothing I can do. I have my number 2 pencil though. Your 3 hours, 50 minutes will be the worst that I will know. It's not a number 2, it's a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. SAT, get away from me, and yet I can't escape you if I want a degree. SAT, why do you do this to me? You decide if my dreams are to be or not to be. S for SOS, get me out of here. A for a bunch of nerves and fear. T for tears pouring out of me. What does that spell? Everybody, SAT, get away from me, and yet I can't escape you if I want a degree. SAT, why do you do this to me? You decide if my dreams are to be or not to be. I thought that once I'd get to college, all my bad habits would leave me in high school. Now, they say that those that forget history are doomed to repeat it, right? Well, I haven't forgotten, and I'm still screwed, because I started studying for the GRE recently. GRE, get away from me. Some things just never change. I'm also a really bad procrastinator, which is why I knew I wouldn't warm up before this show, so the first song where I'm going, that was just my warm-up. And procrastination is hard, especially because if you're good at it, you're never going to stop. I thought it would leave me in high school once I got to college because things get more difficult, but it didn't. As the old saying goes, once a procrastinator... Well, never mind, I'll finish that adage later. Lower this a little. All right. When you are in college, there always seems to be a powerful feeling of immortality, or more like purgatory, and God is cursing you. When too long you wait, procrastinate, and work on an essay till 2, because it's college, and everybody knows it's common knowledge that we're all brains, but in reality, we haven't a touch of rationality. This is the age of no regrets, 'cause it's let's have fun until our liver lets out, because that's what it's all about. You see, in some classes we're learning, in others we survive, still others we drop or don't show up past week 5. We sign up for our gen eds and always question why. 'Cause when your skills have failed, you quote Nietzschean unemployment lines, because it's college, and everybody knows it's common knowledge that we're all brains, but in reality, we haven't a touch of rationality. This is the age of no regrets, so let's have fun until our liver lets out, because that's what it's all about. You see some kids wearing togas as they stumble to a frat, and look, they brought papyrus. That's all I'll say about that. Give us independence, give us liberty, and we'll race around in shopping carts. What did you expect to see? Because it's college, and everybody knows it's common knowledge that we're all brains, but in reality, we haven't a touch of rationality. This is the age of no regrets, so let's have fun until our liver lets out, because that's what it's all about. College is a really weird place, man. It's unlike anything you experience before you get here. It's like another planet. You know what it is? It's like California. Well, think about it. You go there thinking that you're going to get a better job. You pay a fortune for a small living space, often sharing it with one or more people. You're either walking or you're biking everywhere, or you're laughing at the people walking and biking from your $250,000 sports car. But you know what's more important than all of that? Knowledge. And, yeah. I told you I'd make the joke. But when you get to college, it can be a bit of a culture shock. And for a lot of people, it's hard because they get almost an identity crisis. Because you start thinking, like, what kind of fish am I in this big pond of life? Now, this next song has absolutely nothing to do with any of this. But it's an identity crisis of its own kind. One that I hope none of you ever experience, or have experienced, or will experience. Never. In fact, I had a bit of a crisis, ironically, writing this song, because it's not a song. I wrote it as a poem. And I ended up trying to write it to music, and I failed. So a poem it stays. Identity crisis. Did you know you'd be getting a poetry night here too? How did this come to be? It seems that I've lost me, and all because you see, I made a fake ID. Well, 3. Harry Thomas Jameson, that one was my favorite one. 35, successful life, a businessman, philanthropist. My folks found out. Oh, they were pissed. Now don't start screaming, Mama. It's something I had to do to find myself or whatever. I had to make a mistake or 2, or 3. Believe me, I didn't think it'd get this far. I no longer am, but are. Some want personality, well, they can have mine. I've got plenty. The next one was James Hickleby, your average Joe, age 23. He liked to tell old dirty jokes, and I would use them to buy smokes. Some time went by, he wouldn't fly, he lost his credibility. We said goodbye, it was a time that I found a new identity. I had to find a new name, a new person I could be, and then came Tim. Oh, I miss him. So do the gals and his nightclub pals, but he wasn't right for me. I'm also in debt to the old cigarette store. Wait, there's more. You remember Harry? Well, I did something very, very dumb. Now, don't start screaming, Mom. Not I, but Harry. He's promised to marry. Not 1, but 4. There's more. I promised to double. Oh, God, I'm in trouble. I promised to double their collection to earn their affection. All right. You can yell, though there's much I have to tell. What's that? Oh, no, nothing. Just a small thing on the side. It's best that I hide. Well, all right, fine. There's a problem I had. I think I'm a dad. I screwed up badly. Yes, it's true. I have no clue on what to do. But to be fair, it wasn't me. It was all the other 3. Now in my 17-year life, I'm about to have a shotgun wife, 4 angry charities, 3 counts of felonies, 2 lungs full of smoke. But hey, it's one hell of an anecdote. My favorite genre of music is the Christmas song. You like that transition? Because sing we all in joyful, painful chorus, all I want for Christmas is you. Or I think we should leave it to Mariah, folks. On second thought, let's not even leave it to her. But the Christmas song has this magical ability of bringing people together. And that's what I'm trying to do this evening. And so I thought I'd be remiss if I didn't put a Christmas song in here. Well, to be fair, it's not entirely a Christmas song. I made a parody of one called I'll Be Home for Christmas, which I so masterfully, if I may say so myself, called I'll Be Home for Summer. I'm dreaming tonight on my foam mattress of the bed that awaits me back home. As I sing lullabies for my bed bugs to sleep, my mind will roam. I'll be home for summer. You can plan on me. Where the air is clean and there it doesn't smell of weed. I can take a shower without my flip-flops. I'll be home for summer, where food don't taste like rocks. I'll be home for summer, hang out with my cat. Campus squirrels and Swan Lake's turtles just can't compete with that. Summer, you will see me sleeping in Tilton
way past that, actually. Sleeping schedule screwed up. I'll be in school again.
Now, if I'm completely honest, I hate summer. I absolutely hate it. Because I'm an indoors person. I wasn't meant to be Bear Grylls. Don't get me wrong, I love not shaving and eating raw insects as much as anybody else. But, well, it's not completely fair to say I don't love the outdoors. Because I do. I love them. Just from inside. I love fresh air, so I open a window. I love running my mouth at the dog taking a crap on our front lawn. I love our basketball hoop. I think it's a wonderful decoration. Some people have garden gnomes. Some people have bird baths. We have a basketball hoop. It makes me look more athletic, don't you think? But, I know I'm not fooling you guys. But, my basketball is probably so deflated. It looks like a football at this point. In fact, it's so deflated that the Patriots are trying to use it in their next game. Yeah, I hear a boo over there. Okay. We'll move on from the Patriots. Keep away from polarizing things. I don't play basketball, or any sports really for that matter, and I know I have to. I know I have to start working out again. I'm sorry, again. But, see, the thing is, when you're a lazy person, it's the worst problem to have. Because I know I'm lazy. I know I have a problem. But because I'm lazy, I'm not going to do anything about it. Simple math. And I'm thinking about it. And, I know I don't really look it now, but at the rate that I'm going, at the 10-year high school reunion, people are going to be asking me what I'm expecting. And I'm going to have to play along. They'll say, do you have a name picked out? I'm thinking Chip. Like from Beauty and the Beast? No, more like from Lay's or Pringles. And, well, I haven't tried working out, even though they say that it's a great stress burner. And I won't fight that, because I haven't tried it. But I have tried muffins. And muffins, ladies and gentlemen, are the greatest sources of comfort on this planet. I see a nod. Oh yeah, I know I'm right. But the problem is, at the rate that I'm going to be very comfortable very soon. And people that come to my house and are in my basement, this sounds sketchier than it really is, trust me, we have a nice basement. But they see the weight set that's down there. And they always eye it when they come in. It's like the first thing they notice. And they're like, you have a weight set? And I see the disbelief in their eyes. Trust me, I don't believe it either. But I say yes. And they look at it again. They're like, you work out? And now the short answer to that would be no. And I guess that's also the long answer, but in reality, it's a lot more complicated than that. You see, every summer, I tell myself, this is the one. I'm going to start working out, and I'm going to be Alexander T. Mika, where the T stands for The Rock. Move over, Dwayne Johnson, there's a new sheriff on the block. You see, this all happens in stages, and I've been prepping for ages. Now the summer's here, I can't get up, I fear. I wanna run and touch the sun, or at least my toes, I haven't in a year. Gonna do 100 crunches, gonna run a marathon, gonna throw the fastest punches, gonna get up off this couch, come on. But every life change has its cheat day. I think I'll make my cheat day today. A couple of chips, oh just a taste. On second thought, can't go to waste. Potatoes equal carbs, which I need for getting toned. Ice cream's made of dairy, which is very good for bones. Why cut them from my diet? I think they're good for me, I'll try it.
Oh, after the summer, how different I'll be. After the summer, friends won't recognize me. In the blink of an eye, half the summer goes by. I didn't have time to do all that I planned to do. Gonna do some 50 crunches, run a half a marathon. I'm gonna run, throw some fast-ish punches. Gonna get up off this couch, come on. There, now I have planned it, most of the work is done. I think that I deserve a break. Heck, this was kind of fun. Then again, don't think I need it. Working out, I mean not rest. I feel great already, I don't need to be the best. So what if I'm a slouch? Can't get up off of this couch. I'm not getting up today. I think I'll stand. Wow, I'm out of shape. One of my favorite activities growing up, because I wasn't playing sports, was playing board games with my family. Some of my fondest memories, I think, were when we would sit down and we would play a board game like Monopoly or chess or something. And even though I would lose a lot, and that happens quite a bit when you're a kid because you're stupid, but it taught me a good work ethic. It really did, because I learned that if you want to get good at something, you have to work for it. You have to practice, you have to learn, or you can cheat. My cousin didn't have to cheat. He had an excellent strategy that he developed, and it could take down anybody, any of the adults, any of the kids. It was mostly effective on the adults, though. He could take them down with 4 little words. Don't you love me? How do you compete with that? So, little me had to adopt that philosophy, that strategy, because what can I say? You gotta do what you can to survive in these streets. They're tough. And so I did. And after that, family game night stopped pretty quickly. But, and I might sound like an old person when I say this, and I don't necessarily blame those damn snatchbats and insta-who's, but it really does kind of sadden me that we've gotten what seems to be past the age of board games, because they really were one of my favorite parts of my childhood. When I was a wee young lad, and innocent to the core, there was a great tradition, no other I loved more. It was family game night, original name is it not? And I owe so much to it for the lesson that it taught. It taught me about family in a Civil War sort of way, because the minute you pass go, all inhibitions stripped away. You forget that that's your cousin, you forget that that's your dad, but how quickly you remember when you realize you're had. It teaches you humility, you beg for mercy, please, and how quickly you'd get on them if you weren't on your knees. Your diplomacy's on level with the Secretary of State. If you just piss off one sibling, then the other's at your aid. It really teaches honesty when pieces disappear. How to convince the others that the piece was never here. And when you're facing failure, though you may want to cry, there's always next week's game night, you strategic samurai. Whatever happened to family game night? Every day turns into the same old lame night. No nights, no trysts, no dice held in death grip fists. No brother turning on brother, no father sleeping on the couch for beating mother.
Whatever happened to family game night? It was a childhood highlight. Now, this next song is about a very different kind of family. Specifically, one member of that family. Big Brother. America. Now, America is a very unique country, and we're filled with such diversity and so many differences that we can and we do celebrate. But sometimes we do things differently from the rest of the world, and it's like, why? Like, measuring stuff in inches, for example. We invented a whole new metric, like meter system. Why? There are only 2 other countries in the world, and we started it. And I've thought about this long and hard. I did my extensive research, which is why I'm qualified to stand before you and say that there is only one reason: the inchworm. Because it's too cumbersome to call them the 2.5 centimeter worm. Okay, that joke didn't measure up to my standards. But we do so many different things. And I noticed that I've traveled to many countries, and it's put things in perspective for me how much influence the US has over the rest of the world and how little is reciprocated. Like, how many foreign films do we watch in our theaters? How many foreign songs do we play on our radio? It's sad. Alexa, play Despacito. But I've been thinking about it, and there's still a lot that America can learn. For example, when I was in Germany, I learned the meaning of no limits. And that's not a history joke, by the way. Germany has no speed limits on their highways. And I learned this when we got there, because we come out of the airport, and we're looking for a taxi. And we walk up to this one, and this guy comes out, and he looks just like Statler from the Muppets, the guy with the mustache that sits in the balcony and makes fun of everyone. So we ask him, can you take us to the hotel? And he says, yeah, I am on taxi, and that is what I do. Oh my God, the Muppet has a doppelganger. And so we get in the car, and the way that it's set up is that it's airport, highway, nothing in between. We're going 130 kilometers per hour, 150 kilometers per hour. This means nothing to you because we do everything in miles. We get to 220 kilometers per hour, which is about 120 miles per hour. It's fast. And I don't have a need for speed. I really don't. But whatever, it's fine. It's new. I'm not gonna die today. I was getting deja vu, honestly. Like, I thought we were back in the plane preparing for liftoff. I thought he was gonna turn around any second and say, roads, where we're going, we don't need roads. And it was scary. I thought the nightmares were true. We're gonna get killed by a Muppet. But we made it. It was fine. The next day, we go to a car rental agency. We rent a car, and we take it out on the highway. My dad's driving, and he does have a need for speed. The rest of us don't, my mom and I. And we're like, okay, 100 miles per hour is fine. This is good. You can stop right there. And then a little smart car, a little electric tin can on wheels passes us. And even I said, this can't happen. So we speed up a little bit, and we pass them. 2 minutes later, they're silent. They don't make noise. They're electric. And we're like, no way. 110 miles per hour is the limit that we made that day, and we passed them for a little bit. About a minute later, it goes, right past us, past the horizon, up into the clouds, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is why Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was filmed in Germany. Going to war for a woman belongs to ancient Greece, but it was an American who went to war for peace. I believe it was the Frenchman whose food amassed great fame, but it is an American with French fries to his name. God may have said, let there be light, and gave us his wine cup, but it was an American who said, hold my beer and light her up.
England had a monarch with blood and yet in blue, and we became our own Americans when we told them toodaloo. Russia gave us ballet and Alaska, the state that gets around by dog sled race. But as soon as they got communism, America got red in the face. Canada made legal marijuana and will probably replace the maple leaf. But it was an American who introduced them to the reef. While Austria's the birthplace of Gustav Schwarzenegger's son, Arnold moved to the Americas where it's legal to have big guns. Europe's schools are so much cheaper, but their kids learn math well. Their clocks run 24 hours, but we can only count to 12. Every other nation measures mass in kilograms, but it seems to an American it don't weigh up to their demands. America is quite special, it's the land of the free. It feels free to do things its way, from sea to shining sea. After writing that song, I always think about the words of one very wise philosopher, Thumper, who said, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all. I'm paraphrasing, I haven't seen the movie in a while, but I've been thinking about compliments a lot recently. Maybe because Valentine's Day was about a week ago, but I've been thinking about it. They're so hard. Like, we're always in this moral struggle with ourselves, you know? Like, do I be nice? Do I be honest? How do I do both? Like, how do you tell someone that they have a drinking problem, but that their personality's better when they're drunk? It's hard. And so this next song tries to do that. And because Valentine's Day was so recent, I'd actually like to dedicate this song to all the lovers out there. And I'd also simultaneously like to apologize to all the lovers for writing it. But before I do, I'm going to get a drink of water because I'm dry. This is Everything About Us. Intro twice for dramatic effect. When I compliment you, you think I'm lying. I wouldn't put it that way. It's just with every person, there's only so much I can honestly say. But if in honest love songs, what you really want, then I will write one, okay? The way you flip your hair with so much charm and grace, it almost makes it hurt less when it hits my face. Your eyes are like no others, if no one has blue. I figured I should mention them, you'd want me to. When I think of everything about you, you're not the goddess Aphrodite, dear. Don't get mad at me, I just sing what I see. If anyone's to blame, it's DNA. And also beauty standards of today. You're beautiful in an average sort of way. When I think of everything about me, I know I'm not the god Apollo, dear. But trust me, if I were, I wouldn't be with her. But we're together, loving mortally. And that is just the way it's meant to be. Until I can afford plastic surgery. So as I said, I've been thinking about compliments a lot. And I've come to the conclusion, I actually researched this more than I did about the inchworm, so I know I'm right. There are about 7 types of distinct compliments. Now, the first kind
is the awkward compliment. This is when it's like a backward compliment, where it's so vague that the person can take it the wrong way. It's like when you say, "Oh, you look nice. Did you do something differently today?" Or when they say, "I loved your paper's title." And as an English major, that one hurts the most. The next kind is the stream of compliments. Now this used to be beautiful. Like the bards, like Shakespeare, would take this compliment and make it into a sonnet, combining everything that was good about a certain person. And it would just come together into a beautiful sonnet or song. But now, a lot of times, it's just like word vomit, you know? Like they start with something like, "Ooh, I love your haircut, it really brings out your ears, which show those perfect earrings you have on, which brings out your eyes so well, and match that necklace, oh my goodness, girl, your outfit is so perfect, wait a minute, you're perfect, how can somebody be as perfect as you?" And obviously you have to take a restraining order out on them. But sometimes you can grow to miss it. Like you look in the morning, one day in the mirror, looking out in your outfit, and your socks, and your shoes over there, and you're like, "Do I look good today?" They're not there to tell you. So you start thinking like, "Do I look good? Did I ever look good? Wait a second. Oh my God, was this a ruse? Were they lying the whole time? Do I have any fashion sense at all?" You get pretty self-conscious really fast. The next kind is the jealous kind of compliment. This is where there's something that you A, love, and B, want. Like, for example, it always starts with "I love" too. Like, "Oh, I love that sweater. I love that shirt. I love your sister." No, really, I'm sorry, we have to break up. Entangle. I'm also a dancer. But I haven't been at it long. That's the next show. The next kind of compliment is the golden child kind of compliment. This is where you single somebody out in front of a crowd. And it has two problems. Because everybody else who isn't the golden child starts to feel bad about themselves because they feel inferior. And also, the golden child starts to feel bad for those people too because they're so inferior. And you see this a lot with kids. Like when they're drawing, and one of them comes up to you and he's like, "Look at my drawing!" And you have to say, you can't really tell what it is. You're like, "Oh, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen!" What the hell is that? And the next kid looks at you and he's like, "Wait, but what about mine? Don't you love me?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure, that's the greatest thing I've seen too." But how do you tell Freddie that Jimmy's stick figures are just so much better than his incomprehensible his drawings, you know? Just lines all over the place. So now, Jimmy grows up with this inflated ego, thinks he's top dog, applies to art school, doesn't get in, or worse, he does, and then has to pay $60,000 a year for tuition. Meanwhile, Freddie grows up hating his brother, thinking he's second best, and he's going to mention this scenario every single time he feels that way. Like when you're at Christmas, and you're putting out all of this food, and you're putting the mashed potatoes on everybody's plates, and Jimmy gets a little bit more than Freddie. He's going to say, "It's because the stick figures were better, isn't it?" And you have to say, "No, Freddie, it's because he's a starving artist." The next kind of compliment is the right person, wrong line. For example, you should never say when your significant other asks you, "How do I look today?" You can't say, "You are the hardest working person I know." Conversely, when they ask, "How did I do in that presentation?" you can't say, "You looked so beautiful." The next kind is the right line, but the wrong audience. For example, the line, "Nice cuffs," is perfectly fine when you're saying it to your significant other. It's perfectly fine when a dapper gentleman is showing off his wrists, and you're like, "Wow, that really completes the outfit. Nice cuffs." But don't, by all means, say it to the officer about to put them on you. And that brings us to the last and final kind of compliment, which is the perfect compliment. The right line, the right audience, the right time. Who the hell knows what that is? Well, no. Actually, I think I have one. You've all been a wonderful audience. Thank you all so much.
Alright. 1, 2, 1, 2, 7, 8. I do a chord there, but I only got one string.